All right, let's dive into one of the most important and honestly one of the most misunderstood parts of any research project, the critical literature review. We're going to break it all down and demystify it together.
So you've got it, right? That amazing, brilliant research idea just pops into your head, and you are so excited to get started.
And then reality hits. What now? Suddenly, you're staring at this massive mountain of existing knowledge, and it can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. Where do you even begin? And that is where the literature review becomes your best friend. Seriously, it's not just some boring chapter you have to slog through. Think of it as your research roadmap. It's the tool that's going to guide you from that initial idea all the way to making a real contribution to your field.
Okay, so why bother? I mean, really, what's the point of a literature review? Well, it turns out it does a lot more than just summarize a bunch of articles.
A really great way to look at it comes from the researcher Chris Hart. He called it the selection of available documents and the effective evaluation of these documents. Now, listen to those words, selection and evaluation. That tells you everything. It's not about reading every single thing ever written. It's about being a detective, strategic.
Think of it like this. First, it tells you where your work fits into the big picture, right? The ongoing academic debate. It also totally shapes your thinking, sparking ideas you never would have had otherwise. And this is a big one. It makes sure you don't waste months reinventing the wheel. Finally, it helps you nail down your key terms, super important for clarity.
All right, you're convinced. But where do you actually find all this stuff? Well, this is the fun part. The hunt for sources begins. So this table basically lays out your main toolkit. You've got textbooks, which are great for getting that big, broad overview, but you gotta watch out because they can be a bit dated. Then you have journals. This is where you find the super current, peer-reviewed stuff. The only catch is that articles can be really, really specific. And finally, theses. They are exhaustive, deep dives into a topic. But remember, they might not have gone through peer review. The real pro move? Using a smart mix of all three. So finding your sources, that's just step one. The real work, the critical part, is figuring out what's actually good. This is all about separating the signal, the quality research, from all the noise out there.
And here's a super handy 4-step quality check you can use. First up, relevance. Is this thing even talking about your research question? Second, rigor. Did they do their homework? Are their methods solid and well explained? Third, reliability. Do their conclusions actually make sense based on the data they present? And number 4, reputation. Is this a respected journal? Has it been peer-reviewed? You run your sources through this little filter, and you'll know you're building your work on solid ground.
Okay, now we're getting to my favorite part. This is where the magic really happens. We're moving beyond just collecting stuff. We're getting into the art of synthesis, creating something brand new. This quote just nails it. To synthesize is to combine, to form a new whole. And what is that new whole? It's your argument. It's the new insight that only you can create by connecting the dots in a way nobody else has thought of before. This is the absolute key difference right here. Summarizing is basically just making a list. You're saying this person said this and that person said that. It's a collection. But synthesizing, that's a creation. You're taking those different ideas and building something new. For example, let's say one study links city parks to better mental health, and a totally different study shows that community gardens lead to lower crime rates. If you just summarize, you list those two facts. But if you synthesize, you might come up with a whole new idea. Maybe community gardens lower crime because they're improving the neighborhood's collective mental well-being. See, that's a new idea. That's synthesis. Finally, we got to talk about something super important. Academic integrity. And look, this isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's about being a responsible scholar and respecting the process. So, there are 2 huge, massive no-nos you have to avoid. The first is misrepresentation. That's when you twist someone else's findings to fit what you want to say. And the second, of course, is plagiarism, using someone's words or ideas and passing them off as your own. And let's be clear, in the academic world, both of these are considered fraud. It's that serious. And plagiarism isn't always as simple as it sounds. It comes in a few different flavors. You've got the ghostwriter, which is literally just turning in someone else's paper. Then there's the potluck paper, grabbing a paragraph from here, a sentence from there, and stitching it all together. There's also the too perfect paraphrase, where you cite the source, but you've pretty much copied the text word for word without quotation marks. And you can even plagiarize yourself.
That's the self-stealer, when you reuse your own old work without citing it properly. Just knowing what these look like is a huge step in avoiding them.
So when you think about it, the literature review isn't a chore you have to get through. It's your ticket into the conversation. It's your roadmap. You're not just reporting on what other people have said, you are getting ready to join them. Which brings us to the most important question of all. Research is a conversation. What are you going to add to it?